guys, so I thought I would pop on, make this video. I grabbed a couple of pictures from Unsplash to do this assignment, and I think the one that I want to use for my backdrop is this one. I really love the yellow rubber ducky background, so let's see if we can get rid of these people and instead we can put two other people here. Okay. The first thing though is, let me open the other picture I want to do, Command O. So I was thinking about doing something kind of weird, like, yeah. Okay, so the lighting here is pretty cool, and this one is much brighter and more yellow, right? So before I do anything, what I can do is I can take this this picture here, and before I do anything with it, I'm going to mask these guys out, and then I'm going to apply. I'm going to put them in a couple different pictures, I think, actually. So let's see. I'm going to go over here and do the quick select tool because I think it's going to be easy here. Let's quick select this guy, right? A little bit like this, okay? And we're going to make this into a smart object, and we haven't gone over smart objects yet. We're going to do that next week. But you'll see what I'm doing. Okay, that's a pretty easy, that was easy peasy. So I'm going to make a little mask here. And then I'm going to save this file, save as. I'm going to save this as same name, but as a Photoshop file. Now the one thing is up here in his head. I'm going to go to the mask here, and I'm going to paint in. I'm going to grab the paintbrush. I'm just going to paint in white a little bit here. That's one area that it took out too much. And so all I need to do is paint that in a little bit, swap the colors. Remember your masking. That's going to be really, really important. We're going to start doing a lot of masking. And so now I can just, by hand, I can take that out, and it's going to look a lot better, like that. Okay, a little bit more, right, like that. Okay, that looks good. Save, Command S, okay. And the next thing that I want to do is, okay, their color is different. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments. I'm going to go to Match Color, right? Now, it wouldn't let me, and that's because the mask is selected. So I'm going to click on the picture of them. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Match Color. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the picture that I'm going to be putting them in, okay? This one. Now, it really did not obviously do a very good job with this because it just made them way, way, way too yellow. And I mean, there's no, if we work with it a little bit though, we can make them look a little bit yellowy, maybe a little bit more luminance, and fade the effect down a little bit. You know, we don't need it to be so, we don't need it to be so drastic. But that picture, there's a lot of luminance in that room. And so I do want to add more luminance to the picture than it has and make it a little bit more yellow. Okay, let's just go with this. Okay, fine. Okay. So I'm going to save it again, Command S. Okay, I'm going to close it. And then I'm going to take these people out. So let's go here to the Polygonal Lasso tool. Okay, and I like this tool because I can just make a straight line here. Okay, and then I can just go around like this. And then I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to go to ContentAware Fill. And here we have, we can see, let's make this a little bit bigger, okay? And we can also, if we want to, we can make, this preview window a little bit bigger like this. Okay, so if I look over here, let me make this guy, okay, if I look over here, let's see what's getting sampled. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, this is on auto, right? I'm going to take away some of this. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And we don't need this line right here and down here even. And so every time I do that, it's going to help. So this line I'm going to take away, and I'm going to take away this line, and maybe over here, okay, and see if that helps it a little bit. And it does a little bit, you know, it's like, it's okay. This is right here needs a little bit of a fix. It looks okay. That's, you know, I think I can work with it, right? Yeah, I can work with that. Okay, so I'm going to go okay. And then I'm going to deselect, Command D. And, you know, this happened in class. So what happens here is, now remember, I'm going to have two people here. So I don't have to get this perfect. And I can do what I just did. I could do it again. So if I, for example, then go back in here, and if I circle this row of rubber duckies, and I go back into edit and I say, okay, ContentAware Fill. Now, what I can tell Photoshop, right, is that I don't want any rubber duckies in this at all. Like, I only want Photoshop to fill that area. Like, there's no rubber duckies in that area, right? So I don't want it to sample any duckies, like no ducky sampling, okay? And when I take all these duckies away, Photoshop is not going to sample any duckies. And what's going to happen is it's going to redraw this area more just plain tub. Now, again, I say this every time, it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but it just did, Command D, it just did so much. Now, using the tools that we learned in class, we can do the rest of this. So what do we got here? Okay, a couple things. Right here, we can see that we've got a rubber ducky problem here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the clone stamp tool here. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And I don't think there should be a ducky here. I think this is like right in the middle. So what we're going to do is, this should be, you see how there's a line here, right? So now it's like you gotta fix it. So I'm going to option click here. Click there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to option click here, and see, it gives you a preview. Okay, I'm going to go here, option click. So like retouching takes a little bit of time. And so what's going on here is I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And, you know, I'm just trying to make it, it doesn't ever have to be so perfect. It just has to be not noticeable, right? I'm going to click right here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to option click here. Okay, I'm going to option click. Okay. And then another way we could do this, okay, is if we don't want to do that, we can do what we did in class. And so I'll show you another technique. Okay, so we can try the clone stamp tool. Another technique we can do is you can grab the Polygonal Lasso tool, and you can see that we need shadow and the undershelf. So let's go. So which shelf is messed up here? We got. Let's do a 2-for-1 here. So let's go up here, and let's select. Let's see, here, and I want to go between the duckies. Okay, Command C for copy, Command V for paste. Okay, and now I have these duckies on their own section. And so like, can I, you know, put them somewhere and make them look like, you know, they're supposed to be there. Okay, and what I'm going to do is do Command T, and I can, now if I make it bigger or smaller, you know, will it match? Okay, so kind of, but it's a little bit, it's not perfect, right? So also I got to figure out where the duckies should be. So this is probably a little bit better here. Now there's one more problem, and that is this right here. So what I'm going to do is, and then you can see here that it doesn't match perfectly either. That's fine. Okay, that's like fine for now. So I'm going to hit return. Okay, and I'm going to mask this, and that's what I did in class too. So what I'm going to do now is with the brush, I can take out little bits of area, but I'm going to go ahead and put it down in opacity and sort of like, sort of blend the back. Now, obviously, this isn't, there's some duckies that are, not perfect. The other thing that you want to do though is, if before I kill myself, like before I absolutely knock myself out making this perfect, are the two guys that I'm going to put here, are they covering this? So before I do anything else, actually, let's find out. Okay, so File, Place Embedded, and that's where we get the smart object, is when we do Place Embedded. So where is the two? Oh, here we go. Okay, and so we want the Photoshop one. Okay, and do Command minus. Okay, these make them a little smaller. Okay, and put them. Okay, you hit return. Okay, and I want to be able to see where they are. Actually, I'm going to make them a little bit bigger. Okay, like that. Okay, go to the mover tool. Okay, so I want to see where they are. Like now, I'm gonna mask around them, and then the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to see what needs to be touched up. Okay, so I'm going to lower their opacity a little bit, and I'm going to zoom in just exactly where they are. And then I'm going to put a layer mask there. And then again, this is going to let me paint out the part I need to paint out. So right here, you can see that, okay, it's about midway. That's good. So right here, you can see that this part, and I want it to be 100%. Okay. And I can see like this part is the tub. So I want to mask that like that. Okay. Now I can see over here in the tub where there's going to be some problems because they're not covering where the ducky is or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them a little bit faded like this. And I'm going to go back here to this layer, with the this layer right here. Okay. And I'm going to fix up a couple things. Okay. So the first thing I can do is just with the rubber stamp tool, this little guy, and it doesn't need to be so fuzzy. Okay, about like this, right? So this little ducky right here, he can just option click. That's easy to get rid of him. Okay, that's easy peasy. And then I'm going to option click here, maybe clean up a little bit there. Fine. Now let's go over to this side. Okay, and I'm still with the rubber stamp tool, so I'm going to option click here, paint a little bit yellow, go option click, paint some yellow, option click, paint some yellow, option click, paint some yellow, okay, option click, option click, option click, option click, option click, because I have to say, because I have to keep sampling far enough back here that when I go, see how see how it chases, like I have to go all the way back here, and then I have I can paint for a little bit of yellow. So I'm gonna option click here, okay, option click here, okay. So let's make them at 100% and see what this is kind of looking like, okay, and it looks better. And you see in the background, it depends, what do I need to fix now? Okay, so I, right here, this is, let me see here. Okay, here's the copy that I made, right? See, it looks better without that. I actually didn't even need to do that. So let's look at the whole thing. Okay, really weird. Okay, they're much too big for this tub, Now, a shadow. if I wanted to give them a shadow, how could that happen? Because most times, like if you're going to put yourself standing somewhere, you need a shadow. There's a heavy shadow on the bottom here of this tub, and so they would be casting a pretty heavy shadow in here. So if you go here, we'll make sure that we're on their layer, and if we go down here to drop shadow, the kind of drop shadow that it's going to put is not what we're really looking for. It's a shadow that's right behind them, right? But we're going to go ahead and go OK. And that shadow is right here. It's attached to that layer. Now, there's a cool feature where if you go up here in Layer and you go to Layer Styles, which this is, Drop Shadow is a layer style, what you can do is you can go down here to Create Layer, and what this does is it takes the drop shadow and it puts it on its own layer. So if I click on that, right, it's going to give you a warning. It took the shadow, and here's the shadow now. Look at the shadow's on its own layer. So if the shadow is on its own layer, that means I can do a lot of stuff with it. For example, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to see how the shadow is falling this way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the shadow a little bit over, and I'm going to do Command T for transform. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the Command key, and it allows me to like warp the shadow and pull the shadow down. Okay, like this. Now, I know it doesn't look realistic, but give me a second. When I'm done, I'm going to hit return. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to filter, I'm going to go to blur, and I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. And that's going to really blur the shadow out. And the more I bump this up, the blurrier it is. And so you can kind of see what the shadow blur is down here. Right now, this is a little too blurry. I got to take it down so it kind of matches the bathtub shadow. Here's the bathtub shadow. That looks a little bit better. I'm going to click on OK. The next thing is I'm going to move it just a little bit like this. Okay, perfect. And then the next thing is that it's obviously very, very dark. So I'm going to take the opacity down a bunch like this. Okay. Now the other thing is that the shadow wouldn't really fall like this. The shadow would fall on the tub, and then the rest of the shadow would be on the floor. But before we do that, what I'm going to do is, you see that where there's the shadow that's spilling over right here, I have to get rid of that. So I'm going to pop a layer mask on here. I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to paint with my paintbrush in black to take that away. Okay. Like this. Okay. Command 0. Okay, so now the shadow is fine here on the tub, but I want the rest of the shadow all the way down here. So how does that even work? So what we're going to do is it's pretty easy actually. What we're going to do is we're going to take the shadow layer, okay, and so we're going to rename this. We're going to name this Shadow 1. Okay. And then we're going to duplicate this layer by dragging it down here to the new layer icon-y thing. And now I have Shadow 2. Okay. And Shadow 2, this is Shadow 2. Shadow 2 is not in the same place. Shadow 2 is all the way down here. And then I just have to take parts away. So this is Shadow 2. I'm going to click on the layer mask. And I'm going to make this much bigger. Okay, and then this goes away. Okay, that's Shadow 2. Okay, Shadow 2 goes away there. And I can even make Shadow 2 a little bit lighter, like this. And then Shadow 1, up here. The other thing is that I have to take it away from here. So I'm going to click on the layer mask again, and I'm going to take it away from here because it's really falling on the ground. And here, also in here. Okay. So that's like basically a, really quick, I'm going to post a couple other videos that you can watch on, YouTube or whatever. They're so big in that little tub, but it's late, and that, it's the only, it just looked interesting to me. Anyway, I'm also going to post a couple of videos that I can find if you want to see more. And then of course you can pop into on Sunday if you want, if you can. Now I did kind of a rough job around here, like with the painting, maybe try to paint a little bit better. But I was going really, really fast so that the video would move. So go and put yourself or somebody that you know in another picture, okay? And I will talk to you guys super soon. Okay, bye.